tuning in. Please like, turn on notifications, subscribe, or share. Want to be a guest? Email podcast@tricountyareachamber.com.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Chamber Chat. My name is Danielle Rexford. I'm the Marketing Communications Director with the Chamber, sort of standing in for Eileen today for her announcements, and I'm flying solo for this episode, so I'm really excited to interview our guest. As always, a huge thank you to our 2021 Mission and Vision partners for their support of the Chamber through June of this year. With their support, we're able to offer so many great opportunities and programming for our members. So thank you again to them, and we really encourage you to support these businesses and organizations if you can. Just a few quick announcements before we get into today's show. Next Monday, we have our Reach Luncheon with Congresswoman Madeleine Dean. We're honored to be able to have the opportunity to hear from her next Monday. She'll be speaking about how to be a change maker. So that event is up on our website if you'd like to register, and Reach events are open to all. And, very timely that we have her for Women's History Month because she has an amazing story to tell. And again, we're so honored to be able to hear her story. And I just wanted to say it's been a great opportunity this month with Eileen interviewing so many great women in our membership in recognition of Women's History Month. We've really been enjoying it. We love to hear the stories of everyone and so many incredible women in our membership that are so inspiring. So I just wanted to put that out there that it's been an honor to interview everyone. We really appreciate everyone's support of the show, everyone who's tuned in and commented and shared. Thank you so much. After today, we only have one more episode for this month for Women's History Month. So I am going to miss it a little bit, I have to say, but I'm sure our great host, Bill VTLO, is ready to get back into the show. So again, thank you all. Thank you to all of the guests we've had on so far. And I'm very excited to introduce our guest for today, Kim Mack of HR Intended. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hi, Danielle. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us today. And you're you are a new Chamber member. So congrats and welcome to the Chamber.
Thank you.
So to start out, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my husband and I actually have been in the community our entire lives. We were high school sweethearts, married out of high school, went to one of the local high schools in the area. We raised our daughter 20 minutes on the west side of Pottstown in Douglasville, sold our home 2 years ago, and now we live on the east side closer to Limerick. So we're still in the same neck of the woods our entire lives, both grew up here. So it's nice. So we're living and operating in the community to which we support. So it took us a while. I've had about 25 years in corporate life, to which my normal commute time would take me Malvern, Berwyn, King of Prussia over the last several years. But COVID has redefined kind of what my priorities are, what my husband's priorities are, and, kind of refocusing, taking a moment's pause and trying to, which I think a lot of people have done, kind of reassessing what's important and where they want to make a place for themselves, both personally and professionally. So that's what we're doing.
Awesome. Yeah, because your husband is also a small business owner as well, correct?
Yes,
I know he's also
we're both newbies to the Chamber. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
Yes. So we both did it simultaneously. We both joined. Yes.
So when you were in the corporate setting, have you always been in human resources?
Yeah, so I like to say that I was in human resources before it actually became human resources. When I was in college, there wasn't a human resources program. I graduated in business management, and then like most college graduates, you take the first job you get. You don't always necessarily land in your profession. And I was fortunate enough to land in some pretty good industries. A couple of my jobs in the early stages, my first job was as an administrative assistant, but it was in insurance. So I got a little bit of touch upon benefits and working with brokers and that kind of scenario. And then I then worked in 401k, and at that point, they need somebody to do payroll. So it just all kind of came together, which now under the bucket of HR, a lot of those are found. So, early stages to which I had a lot of mentors and job experience kind of redirected and gave me clarifiers as to what I was actually good at doing. So, and I think that's just kind of a lesson learned as you grow through the years and the ranking and what mentors you've had in your path too. I've been very fortunate to have some that actually gave me that guidance and gave me some not harsh criticism, but some very eye-opening criticism, so I could either work on certain capabilities and improve upon them, or know what I'm not good at and redefine myself. So with that said, HR is one of those things that has certainly over many years gotten extremely not more popular, but definitely takes a lot more time and having to stay up on laws that are changing. And especially, coming out of COVID, holy smokes, every other day we have a new stimulus package that we have to break down.
Right.
And on top of that, our clients, or if you're a full-time employee working in HR within an organization, you have to be that expert knowledge and give guidance to, the senior leadership members, what we can and can't do kind of thing. And if, with the most recent package, when, there was all that time off that would protected your job, when COVID exploded and we had all these families trying to figure out homeschool at the same time they were trying to do their full-time job. A lot of the stimulus packages help to offset that if they just couldn't work, so then you have to deal with other items in payroll, and it just is a nonstop research project, for the lack of better terms, because what you don't know, you have to go look into. And fortunately, there were a lot of resources, but it was changing. The landscape changed daily for the longest period of time through COVID early on. So, and now we're coming out with the most recent, COBRA stimulus subsidy. So we have to understand who qualifies for that and all the other eligibility requirements to make sure that we're allowing the right people on it. So yeah, it's good times in HR right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, there's so much information out there. I know on the chamber's end, we've heard some feedback from people just really saying how overwhelmed they are with, there's just so much going on. There's always things that keeping up with all the information. So branching off of that, what are some of the services that you offer? And specifically, how have you helped businesses during COVID-19? And how has that sort of affected your business?
Well, so coming in the early stages of COVID, I was still 100% corporate. My LLC's been in place since 2019, but I would just pick or choose because I was working over 40 hours corporate wise. So I didn't do 100% in my own business, but I had it. And I had a few clients that I would help with handbooks or evaluating their policies and procedures and making recommendation, or they were getting ready to become larger. So they wanted to move from spreadsheets tracking demographic data to actually acquiring HR technology to make sure they had that in the right place. So a lot of those are some of the smaller projects that I've worked on. Post-COVID, I had a lot of my network reaching out. When COVID first exploded, we had a lot of companies who maybe were mom and pop shops that the owners themselves were trying to handle all areas of HR without an official HR team on site. So with that said, suddenly they were reaching out because, you had topics of, where the economy was suddenly in a bad place. So now they're worried, can I make payroll? And if I can't make payroll, how many people do I have to cut? Do I lay them off? Do I furlough them? What's it mean between furlough and layoff? What all do you have to do at that point, to make sure you're handling it properly? And then on top of that, we had to deal with the White House's, we went into stay-at-home orders. And then I had a couple clients that were not prepared to be remote. They didn't believe in remote work. They always felt, there's some of these more tenured businesses that employees have to work on site, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are not permitted to work from home. So we had technology issues that we had to quickly try to access laptops, which so did everybody else in that boat. So
yeah, that was a challenge for a while. Yeah.
It was a crazy time. We actually had one organization, we just could not find them fast enough. And we literally would call around and try to access laptops and place a marker with your name on it. And by the time you got there, if you had 2 on hold, 1 might have been there because someone beat you to it.
Right.
So we literally sent people home with their full desktop scenario because we had no choice. We didn't know how long it was going to go. And a couple of my clients, like Chester County was one of the first ones to pull the plug on stay-at-home orders. So, we had to get them set up. We had to put communications out to clients, that kind of thing, because not everybody in the world was doing it yet. And then obviously, when the White House, gave their own communication, we then had to get on the flip side, understanding the whole return to work. The White House had its own phase 1, 2, and 3, but then you also had Governor Wolf in Pennsylvania with the red, yellow, and green return to work phases. So how do you coordinate the two, and do they apply to everybody? So, coming out of that, or during the time, a lot of my clients who weren't clients became clients.
Right.
Who were in my network that had just continuously accessing me, that after a while I had to have a few conversations just to say, that I already have a strong client base, and to the degree that you're accessing me, I think we need to drop a contract, that kind of thing. And that's all worked out fine. And it really was an eye-opening experience, I think, for a lot of those companies who up until then thought they had it handled. But like I said, that we were talking about earlier, it came on fast and furious. So it was a matter of how are you going to handle this as it's coming at you? Because it was such an unknown territory for the majority of us that, you just want to make sure you get it right. And then you're dealing with employees who were not comfortable on top of everything else, those that didn't want to come back to work if their job required it. Then how do you handle that too? So
Right.
it's been an unbelievable ride this last year, but at the same time, I've learned so much in a short period of time because you had to. So it's definitely never dull. Let's just say that. As far as my other services, we actually, so a lot of companies tend to hire us on, and we come on site, we do an audit. What do you have in place? Do you have a company handbook? How are you separating out your personnel files? There's certain laws that require certain pieces of information be kept separate from a personnel file. And if the Department of Labor were to do an audit, you want to make sure they would pass that audit. So what does that mean? You want to make sure any medical information is kept separate from the actual personnel file. I-9 should be kept separate. Any background research investigations should be kept separate. So these are some of the audits that we do. And then it kind of gives us a priority list, A, B, and C need to get done ASAP. You need to have these just in case. We do I-9 audits. 3 years ago, there's been an uptake in Homeland Security spot audits in industries that normally didn't have audits predicted. And with that said, there's high fines if they're not completed correctly. So there's a lot of overlooked sections on there, or not completed properly sections on there. I'll just give you an example. The date field on an I-9 form is supposed to be 2 digits for the month, 2 for the date, and 4 for the year. And that one gets a lot of people in trouble because majority of the world does 2, 2, and 2, and that's it. But, we have seen it, and they stick to their guns with those fines. So one of the questions I'm often asked is kind of, when do you know as a small business it's the right time to access, a company like mine? And what I say to them is, the way my business works, it fits almost any organization. Most of the time, the clients reach out and they either they're growing at rapid pace. So they need to have an HR component that, and I do have 2 clients that I do this for. 2 days a week, I'm on site at their location. Now with COVID, I've been remote, but I'm still on their clock, so to say, for those 2 days. And then employees know they have access to me. I'm as if I'm an extension of their own organization. And, I've helped them build out their benefits platform, to which they had none, created them a 401k plan, to which there was none, and then got them identifying what roles they need to bring on and creating job descriptions and all the other elements that go into building the right workforce for them and the timing on that. Now, other people, still some of the small shops, they'll continue to operate with the senior managers, keeping majority of those type HR functions with them. However, they access me, and we do have a working relationship under contract, to which they have access to me for running certain things by me, making sure they're handling them properly before the communication goes out, and just having that additional layer of protection, knowing compliance-wise they're handling it correctly. So there's a couple of different methods. I also have an ad hoc menu, for those small companies that I just need a handbook. For the items that are mandatory in a handbook, there's a flat rate for that. All the additional things that apply specific to a company, your specific PTO policy and plan, work from home policies, certain things that only apply to the organization, there'll be different costs that we'll work out in a contract to make sure all those are implemented into the handbook as well. So there's certain things that are retained under contract, and then I have ad hoc menus, and then we just have billable time for those that, I want to have an HR presence in my organization 1 or 2 days a week. We can certainly set them up for that as well. Yeah, you're checking out my website there. We actually just kicked that off a couple weeks ago. Those that have interest, you could certainly reach out to me there. There's phone number. There's
all that.
You can actually send a message direct, and then I'd be happy to get back to anybody. So it looks like you're having a little bit of streaming. Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can. Yes.
Give me just a second.
You gotta love technology, right?
Hey, Kim, I'm going to hop in here while Danielle fixes out her tech. This is pretty awesome. I think a lot of local businesses that are looking for that type of help, in particular, getting through the COVID, the quarantine, and that sort of thing, could probably get a little bit more direction.
So sorry about that. Can you hear me now, Kim?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're good.
Back on. I'm gonna jump back off again, Danielle, so you can wrap things up.
Okay. So sorry about that. I was having some internet connection issues. So
no worries about it.
Thank you so much, Kim, for kind of carrying through that as I was sort of cutting in and out. But like I was saying earlier, I'm taking all this in because there's so much that falls under HR. I don't think a lot of people realize. I mean, even I'm still learning how much really falls under that umbrella. So, I think when people hear HR, they sort of maybe think of payroll and the hiring process and managing employees and all that. But it goes so far. And like you said, you're really helping businesses avoid, any fees or legal issues, things like that.
Right.
So there's a huge protection component there. So I think that's awesome that you are there for small businesses who already have so much to manage. So on top of, you're able to provide them some relief when it comes to that aspect so that they can focus on other aspects of their business.
Exactly.
So it's great what you do. And I'm not sure if you already mentioned this, I'm sorry, is Do you have anyone on your team, or is it just you at the moment?
It's just me, but I do have working relationships with other HR colleagues who I subcontractor. So
Okay.
yeah, we actually have a group of about 5 of us that actually take on the jobs as they come in.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. And I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. If you could just briefly share, you mentioned you got your LLC in 2019. What sort of kickstarted your desire to take this into your own business? So you had worked in the corporate field. What inspired you to make it your own thing?
Actually, a lot of those conversations in 2017, I had been with one organization for 16 years. And when I look back, I chuckle because our HR team was actually outsourced, which ironically is now me. So in a crazy spin on things, I had actually gotten really complacent over those 16 years. It was the height of when I was raising my family. So I was lucky enough at the time to get out the door, be productive, get back home, handle my mom functions, and feel successful, day in and day out. When I got outsourced, the bucket fell out the bottom. I did not realize how I had not worked at staying connected with all my networking relationships. I did not do a good job. And, out of the gate, I went in survival mode and I kicked it into high gear, going to almost any networking event I could go to. And I committed to myself back in 2017, I would never, never, never let myself experience that again. That was not a comfortable feeling. And sometimes you need that to kind of make you wake up and make changes. And I did. So then fast forward over the next 2 years, I had gotten reemployed soon after that. And then my network just really kind of exploded just because of a lot of the interactions in these networking events. And then also with each new client I brought on, I got to know more brokers, benefit brokers, new third-party administrators. It just kept expanding. And honestly, it ended up being that I was just very fortunate to have a pod of really great questions that always accessed me, asking me certain questions. I've been very lucky in that I've always been able to take continuing ed credits. I've always gone to the annual SHRM conference. I always make sure I'm engaged. And making sure I'm staying up on the content, that's going on right now, because it's changing all the time, between state and local municipalities having their own paid sick time that's required. It just gets really granular. So I need to always kind of stay in tune with what's going on. So with everybody kind of accessing me, I kept saying to myself, like, this is crazy. Like, I feel like I'm giving out all this free knowledge. And I knew I didn't really have the capacity because I was still a mom. I still had raising my children and trying to work. And I've never not worked except for a short 6-week maternity leave way back when. So knowing that, I had to be able to have work-life balance. I knew that I wasn't at the point that I could commit all in because of, big things happening in my family on a personal level. And then still be able to, I was a director at the time, fulfill my role and the requirements of the job, and the people that reported to me. So, but I did start having people access me and saying, hey, I have a handbook that needs evaluation. Do you have time that you could do this, and I'll pay you. Well, all I kept thinking was, you stick your neck out and you have to be an expert, knowledge expert. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to do this, I have to do this with, the right safeguards in place. So I formed the LLC, one, for that reason, and two, getting myself the right liability insurance because I wanted to make sure, I was official. I wanted to be official. So that's what I did. And then little by little, I just picked up some small jobs on the side. It wasn't anything that I didn't want to end up tilting, my cup was pretty full and I didn't want to tilt it in the wrong direction trying to manage work-life balance. But this year's been an eye-opening experience for me. We had a lot of clients that at the height of COVID were panicking about their own payroll. And when you're a contractor or a consultant, you're the first one that might be sacrificed because they want to make sure they keep their own people paid. So it was it was a really challenging time. I was scared for myself. I was scared, oh gosh, am I going to be one of the masses? My husband was a casualty, and that's why he rebranded himself. He lost his job. So there was a lot in flux, and I realized that there were a lot of people, I mean, millions, as we know, from unemployment, also impacted. So with that said, I just thought, I think this is the year, because I think the need on the flip side, not so much going in when the world and the economy tanked, but more on the recovery side. I knew it was going to look and feel different. And I knew that we weren't going to go 100% back to stay-at-home orders, So businesses were going to have to start to operate in the new world. And what did that look like? And I thought that the need of managing the workforce more than ever, knowing they were going to have to go back to work, and those that are going back hybrid, and eventually will go back. I do think that there's a whole new landscape with remote workforce, and I do think some companies are going to stay remote. I mean, there's a lot of property management groups, I'm sure, not feeling comfortable right now, knowing they might give up their office space, but you have a whole new complexity, though, making sure that you're staying connected and keeping cultures active, and alive, because, when you're detached, that can be something that falls to the wayside too. So it's taken life. So, but it's all good, and I think it just reinforces the need for HR. And it might not be a one size fits all, but I do think it's definitely an area that most companies today have realized the importance to have that.
Right. And it sounds like you take a very individualized approach when it comes to your clients, so that you're making sure all their needs are met. And,
Correct.
It's not just like you said, it's not a one size fits all thing. So it sounds like you really get in there and really analyze their situation so you can help them the best you can, which is awesome.
Right. And not everybody has a corporate size budget either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I certainly understand that, but I do know there are certain times that, you have to have that reinforcement and that partner, because to a degree, you have to get back to business, and the HR, as I know, can really kind of seize your day depending on what the topic is, and, as much as owners say they are okay with having the hand in everything, to a degree, the business itself tends to become a casualty of that, and I just know from certain things that derail your day in HR. So,
when you're a small business owner, you don't want to spread yourself too thin, and, if you need help, it's there. And, if there are any businesses out there watching, please contact Kim if you have any HR needs. She's more than happy to help you. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today. We are coming up on the end of the episode. So before we leave, if you could just share quickly where everyone can find you. I know we put your website up on the screen, but any social media platforms that people can connect with you on?
Yes, so I'm on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page at HR Intended, and also my website there, hrintended.com. And then the email address is hrintended@gmail.com. So thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. And you guys have been great at the Chamber. Your communication,
thank you so much.
Melissa and Eileen are doing a great job. I mean, for the short period I've been engaged with you guys, you do a great job.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. And thank you again for coming on. Great episode. You have an awesome story. And I just learned a lot about HR. So a lot of things I didn't know. So this was a really big learning experience for me. So thank you. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you for tuning in. Please like, turn on notifications, subscribe, or share. Want to be a guest? Email podcast@tricountyareachamber.com.